right, welcome to episode number 80 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. So let me ask you this. What could your life be like if you didn't have any payments? And no, I'm not kidding. Seriously, I love this question because most people have never, ever considered that they could actually live a life without payments, a life with zero debt. And just imagine that for a second, a life with no payments. It's got a good ring to it, right? And I got to tell you guys, it exists, and I believe that anyone can reach it. And today we're going to be sharing some awesome resources along with an incredible free workshop to help you get started to a life without payments. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how's everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And welcome, guys, to today's show. Super excited to have you guys here. And today we're talking about this whole idea of a life without payments and how to end the financial misery cycle, or even the paycheck to paycheck life, as some people like to call it. And guys, did you guys, I mean, we're all debt free here, maybe obviously outside of our mortgages, but did you guys ever believe that you could get to this point? Like, I know we've all shared our doubts, but can you guys go back there? Like, when you first heard the idea of, I can live debt free, I can live life with no payments, or at least less financial stress, like, what came to mind when you thought about that back then? Because for me, it was like, that's impossible. It's never going to happen.
Well, we all know that Ryan thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
But I thought I was going to have student loan debt for the rest of my life. Like, I was just like, yeah, it's just a payment I'm going to have forever. So no, I never thought it was a possibility. I was like, this is just my life and this is how it's going to be.
How amazing is that you have no more student loans? It's got to feel great. Even how many years it's been since it was like back in 2018,
let's
right?
not talk years, Brad.
That was like 3 years ago, wasn't it? So yeah, I mean, you guys have been debt free for 3 years.
I thought you were like, since you graduated.
No. since you paid off your debt. It's been like 3 years. I mean, do you still think about that and be like, man, because for me, there's still times where I wake up and I'm like, I still can't believe we live debt free. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw our memory on Facebook, and I was like, wow, it's been that long?
Yeah.
And I haven't gone back into debt yet? Like, this is way better than any diet that I've done.
That's awesome. What about you, Ryan?
The idea of it, I mean, it's not like I'd never heard the idea, before, but it's just, it was I think we're just so inundated with that it's just impossible. Like, and even growing up, I mean, you always have car payments. You always have a credit card.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just that whole idea. So although I'm not saying the idea it's not like it didn't exist, but the idea of actually doing it was just like, I just figured in order to be debt free, we would just not be able to do anything ever, it would just be horrible,
Right.
And it was so like, it just, yeah.
Or the complete opposite of that of, I was going to have to make a heck of a lot more money.
Yeah.
Right. That was the other thing too. It's like, if I ever wanted to have an opportunity to do that, I was going to have to make a lot more money. And sadly, none of that's true. I mean, it really isn't. We're going to be talking about a few individuals here coming up who have just made tremendous, just huge wins in their financial life. And these are normal everyday people. I mean, they're not making giant salaries, and they're just normal everyday people just doing some things different. But I think, one reason why a lot of us probably feel like, a life without payments or a life without debt is impossible is because sadly, I think broke has just become normal. I mean, paycheck to paycheck is normal. You look at the statistics, 78%. We talk about that statistic all the time on this show. Almost 8 out of 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. That means, like, if that next paycheck doesn't hit their bank account on the next payday, things get scary very, very quickly for most people. And if it's not that paycheck, it's definitely the next one, right? And that's, again, almost 8 out of 10 people who are living that way. And it isn't a lack of resources for most of us. Now, I know that there's poverty and all that stuff out there, but for the majority of people out there, most people make a good enough income to live a very good life. It's just a mismanagement of money is what it really kind of comes down to. And I think a lot of people also suffer from, social influence. Is kind of like what you said, Ryan. I mean, we were raised, with some of that mindset already. You're always going to have a car payment. You're always going to have a credit card. Social influence says that, well, nobody lives that way. That's normal. You're always going to have payments. You're always going to have a debt. Why would you do anything differently? So I think for a lot of us, it's easy to doubt that, like, especially if you're new to this or just hearing some of this information for the first time, or maybe the stress that you're dealing with your finances is clouding your vision so much. It may make you doubt that you will never have it any better. I've been there. I totally have been. There's no question.
It's important. I mean, if you're thinking about getting out of debt or it intrigues you, I would encourage you, because I did this and I think it's fascinating, is to really like go back and educate yourself on how debt has been marketed to us. In the grand scheme of time, it wasn't that long ago when credit cards weren't a thing, when even potentially a mortgage wasn't even a thing. And over the last 70-ish years, it has become the most heavily marketed product out there that feeds into this broke is normal, payments are normal. Like your great grandparents, depending on your age, were the first people to experience it, then your grandparents, then your parents, now you, maybe your kids. Like it's become what you think. A lot of people walk around going, oh, no one tells me what to think. I'm here to tell you, you've been trained to think what you think.
Yeah.
Maybe not through them directly, but through the way you've been brought up, through all these things. And so just like I was trained to think you'll always have a car payment. My parents didn't sit me down and say that directly, but they did say it in passing, or things happened and you would overhear things or other people. And so I just find it fascinating that if you look at how debt has been marketed to us, you'll realize that they've sold this to us and we've just accepted it as a society and as a people that this is how you do it.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the number one way we learn is by mimicking. I mean, it's by watching. It's not necessarily by being physically taught. It's just by watching other people's habits. Like, I can't tell you how many Roots members or people who have talked to me after I've spoken at like a workshop or a live workshop, and they come up to me afterwards and they're like, this is the first time anyone's ever really shared any of this information with me. I was never taught about money. I was never taught really how to properly budget or how to save or how to set myself up for success. All I was really kind of shown was just how to make payments. And that, once I make payments, as long as I maintain my credit score, you'll be okay. And so that's all I have. I have no money. I've got a lot of payments and I got a good credit score. And that's the way I live too, right? That's the way that we were brought up. So if you're in that situation, don't feel bad, because that's normal, sadly. That's normal, sadly. And that's why it's hard to probably look at this and say, this could genuinely be a real possibility, but I can guarantee you that it is. And here's where most people are trapped. They're trapped in this financial misery cycle. Let's kind of walk through how this cycle works. So for most people, they're living financial crisis to financial crisis. And when I say crisis, it doesn't always have to be like a huge amount of money. Like back in the day when I was broke, like a $250 car insurance deductible for me was a crisis, right? That was a lot of money for me. But I found I lived crisis to crisis, and kind of here's how it gets laid out. So you have a financial crisis that happens. Let's say you have maybe a job loss for a short period of time. You have an unexpected expense pop up, like I just mentioned, maybe a car insurance deductible or, a hospital bill or something. An emergency just comes up. It's a crisis. It needs immediate attention. And by the way, this is where most people tend to ask for help with their finances. They'll email me, hey, can I get some advice? Hey, this is happening. I really need some help, right? It's very rare that people ever reach out and ask for advice when things are going well. It's usually when things are not going well, right? And what a lot of people end up doing is they find a Band-Aid for that crisis. And what do we mean by Band-Aid? Well, a Band-Aid doesn't really heal the wound necessarily. It covers it up a little bit, right? But a Band-Aid could be, I put it on a credit card, or we cover the emergency with a home equity line of credit, or I might have taken out a payday loan, or I finally, I was able to talk my mom or my dad or a family member or a friend into lending me some money so I could cover the expense, right? We find the Band-Aid. And that Band-Aid basically eases the pain, right? It goes away. And then the cycle turns into, well, now that the pain's gone, I should really be grateful for the things that I have in my life. Like this could be worse. It could be it could be way worse. There's a lot of people who have it way worse than me. And we tend to fall into this, I should be grateful. You know, being grateful is a great thing. I think it's a great habit to think about what you're grateful for daily. But this can also be a crutch for you because you can sit there and look around at your life and say, you know, and use this excuse, like things could be worse. I should be grateful for what I have. And then that turns into the next area of the cycle, which is you talk yourself into, well, we can live like this. Besides, you know, everybody else is doing this. Everybody else has payments. Everybody else has car payments and credit cards. And why should we be any different? I mean, this is just what life is about. Like, that's it. And then you move on with your life until the next crisis happens. And the cycle just continues to repeat itself over and over and over again. And this is the paycheck to paycheck life, right? You can look at even getting paid. Most people get paid on a Friday. Awesome, we got paid. We got money, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday are good. Maybe Monday's good. And then all of a sudden it's like a quick downhill, like we're cruising downhill. We're running out of money, and now it's panic, stress until it's payday, and then it's like, yeah, we got money again, and then and this cycle just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. So the point of today's show is we need that cycle to break. Like if you are tired of financial stress, we talk about financial stress, the statistics around financial stress, how much it impacts the areas of your life. Like you've got to break this cycle. And by participating in some of the stuff that we have, by listening to this podcast and implementing some of the stuff that we talk about, that is breaking the cycle. And guys, can you remember that kind of life?
You just described it to a T. I'm like, I get paid on Friday. You know, we pay our bills. Our food was in the fridge. But if anything happened between that payday and the next, we were in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Same thing. Woohoo, it's Friday. We're going out to dinner. I'm going to buy me some new shoes. And then it was like, don't spend any money. We have $46 left in there until next paycheck. Do you need gas? Do you need anything? I mean, it was like miserable. I
digging for change.
Oh.
Yeah.
There were a number. I remember there were a number of times because I used to travel for work, and there were a number of times digging for change. Like literally, like I was 2 hours from the house. I'm starving. I'm like, okay, I got $1.62. I think I can get 2 tacos. You know, it's just like, oh man, so that's totally it. That fight. And like you said, for us, there was never any one big crisis. It was just that bi-weekly crisis that we got paid every 2 weeks. So it was we had money, then we had no money, and we had money. And it was just always trying to and it was that same feeling of every time we got paid, it all went away. It's fine. And then just that wears on. Oh man.
Yep.
When you said that, it's funny because it just brings me back.
Yep. We laugh, but it hits home, man.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I can feel it. I can still feel the stress. I can go right back to it. And some people even some people will message me or they'll talk to me or they participate in a workshop. They're like, how do you know exactly how I feel? It's like, because I've lived that life for so long. It's easy just for me to go back to the way that we used to live, and I could feel those feelings still. So being able to relate with people who are still on that level, it's very easy for me to do because we lived it. But the hope is here, guys, is that here at the Debt Free Dad, I mean, we've helped thousands of people save and pay off tens of millions of dollars. And I just want to assure you that this type of information, this process, the Debt Freedom Success Path, the stuff that we talk about on the show, it's not reserved for just certain people. The one thing you need is an income. And if you've got an income and you are willing to work hard and learn a new process and let your ego go a little bit about how you're handling your finances, anyone can do this. So that is the hope for you. Like, you don't have to continue to live like this. Is it going to be hard? Oh, hell yes, it's going to be hard, but it will be so worth it in the end, all right? But it all comes with just getting started, and this is the hardest part for most people. You see, most people know that they should save more money. Most people know that they should probably have a budget or somewhat of a plan for their finances. Most people know that they should probably pay off debt rather than go further into debt. But if most people know this, why aren't they doing it? And it all comes down to the fact that most people just don't have the support and accountability and a system and a process to keep it going and to keep, once they get started, to keep it going. And that's where I failed. That's why it took me so long to get out of debt, because I didn't have an accountability system. It fell apart on me over and over again, and I kept going backwards. So let's talk about another circle that we talk about. We talk about the circle of awesome, all right? And we teach this circle of awesome inside of our program called Roots Personal Finance, and it all starts with education. And for a lot of us, it's really a re-education. Like we kind of talked about, a lot of us have an education about finance. It's just not really right, right? It's not really helping you improve your financial life. What you know is likely keeping you broke. It's what you don't know that's keeping you from having major success in your finances. So we call it a re-education. Also, a lot of people need support, all right? Doing this on your own is hard. We just talked about how much debt is marketed to us in our lives nonstop. Our friends are doing it. Our family's doing it. We see it in their email. We see it on text messages. We see it in the stores. We're offered it over and over again when we're checking it out. Like, it's just become a normal part. So it's easy just to stay stuck in that regular pattern of debt and payments and swiping cards, right? So a lot of people need the support. They also need the accountability and keeping to their goals. Most of us suck at it. I suck at it. That's why coaching and getting around other like-minded people is so important, because if you're trying to do this on your own, it is going to be painful. I promise you, it is going to be hard. It was hard for me. And then last but not least, big part of the Circle of Awesome is just hard work. It's like I said, this isn't going to be easy. What we talk about here on the show, a lot of the concepts are very easy to understand. Oh yeah, I'm going to build my first emergency fund. Or, oh yeah, I'm going to stop using my credit cards and I'm going to pay them off. Those are all easy things to say. They're not easy to do by any means. So that's why having all 4 elements of the Circle of Awesome are so important. Re-education, the support, the accountability, and the hard work, right? And if you just look at the results of the people who have used some of this stuff, and a lot of these people have been on this podcast, so if you've been listening to this or you're just new to the podcast, I encourage you, go back and listen to these episodes. Real life people who have come on this show and are practicing a lot of the same stuff that we talk about here, and they are crushing it, and they are just normal, everyday, hardworking individuals and families who just decided to say, you know what, I want something different in my life. And you look at Shannon Liardi, saved and paid off $383,000. Christina Tharp, saved and paid off $245,000. You got Gretchen Magura, saved and paid off over $26,000, and I think she's well over $30,000 now. You got Kayla Schnurrer, saved and paid off over $36,000. Aaron Porter saved and paid off over $48,000. Levi and Kira Love saved and paid off over $427,000. And those guys are awesome. They just bought their next investment property. They're saving for retirement now. It's just so cool to see where these people are now after reaching financial freedom. Sandra Simmons, saved and paid off well over $100,000. Chandra Harper, completely debt-free, including her mortgage, saved and paid off over $75,000, is now 100% debt-free. It's amazing. Brandon and Sarah Belger saved and paid off over $37,000. Sammy Shopper saved and paid off over $47,000 on a single income and is completely debt-free, saving up for the down payment on her very first home. And this is just a very, very small example of a lot of the wins and the people that we have going through this process that we share here on this show. And the main point of this show was to invite all of you, all of our listeners. We do these workshops 4 times a year, and we're opening up our free Life Without Payment Summer Workshop. And this live workshop is going to help you reduce stress. It's going to provide you with a lot of the first steps. And it's also going to give you a clear direction on how to get on the road to a stress-free financial life. And as we said here today, don't discount this and say that this is only reserved for certain people. I'm not good enough for this. I got to tell you, you're wrong. This is helping people in all walks of life. And I don't care where you came from, how much money you make, how much debt you have, or what your situation is. If you can put this information to work in your life, your finances will improve. And if you skip out or you don't become proactive and start working on some of this stuff, seriously, you're only hurting yourself. So I implore you to take advantage of this awesome free workshop. Now, we've got 2 live workshop dates coming up on Sunday, July 25th. We have a, I think, 9 a.m. Central Time and a 7 p.m. Central Time. So we have a morning and a night class. Now, if you can't attend live because that is a Sunday, there's no worries. Still sign up, and we'll make sure to send out a replay to you the very next morning so you can still take advantage of the workshop. If you're interested in joining our workshop, our Life Without Payments workshop, just head over to therealdebtfreedad.com and click on the button at the top of the page. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.